So you are either into or finished your 36-hour fast?
I'm I'm over 36 hours. I'm close to 48.
Okay.
So
And
yeah.
you don't look tired or hungry.
No, I'm okay. The hunger comes and goes.
hmm
So all I've had now for the last 40 hours is water and black coffee.
hmm
And even the black coffee, I kind of cut down quite a bit on that.
How much are you
So
drinking for a day?
um, I would say about 4 or 5 a day, yeah.
hmm
Um, but so it's 200 ml cups. So they're small cups. It's not like
hmm
big mugs. Um, and yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay.
It takes a little bit of getting used to, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think the real stretch is going to be to try a 36, a 3 day, so 72-hour fast. However, before I attempt that, I will make some decent bone broth
Yeah. I was about to ask,
that
have you
I
thought
can sip
about
on.
what your first meal is going to be? I'm
I
presuming it'll
know.
be after this episode.
Yeah, 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 no, definitely. It is tonight, and it is definitely steak.
Okay.
So, um, but yeah, so I think for the next time I do it, and I've been asking myself a hell of a lot now, why am I doing this? What is it? Well, first of all, I wanted to see if it's, how it's going to affect me. How am I going to feel? Will I have the willpower? Um, and that sort of thing. But I do understand about the health benefits, the autophagy that kind of starts happening and so on. And there's definitely no harm in
Mm.
doing this. So anyway, so yeah, but definitely before I attempt it for 3 days,
Yeah.
I will make some bone broth, which is very simple. It's um, so that I at least have that to sip on. I think that will help a little bit.
Well, how are you with, although as I've said, all the pickles or gherkins have sugar in them, but with that brine that the pickles sit in? Because I think that's also one of the things you're allowed to sip on while you're in a
Yeah,
fast.
yeah, I'm not too keen on that. I'll rather have decaf black coffee.
Yeah.
Um, that's if that's what it comes to. But yeah, so um, it really hasn't been that tough and that much of a challenge.
hmm
I would say that there were kind of 3 or 4 times in the last 2 days where I've felt hungry, really hungry, where I had to kind of find something to distract myself
Yeah.
with. Um, yeah, but then it goes away. It wasn't bad going to sleep last night without having eaten anything.
Did your
I thought
stomach
that might
keep you
be.
up? Because I remember when I was fasting intermittently, the grumbling at nighttime, I'd be lying in
Yeah,
bed and my
I
stomach
didn't
would
have.
grumble.
I had a little bit of that during the day
hmm
this morning, but I was sitting here at my desk working, and it was one of those times where I really felt hungry. Um, but yeah, it didn't bother me during the night, not at all.
Okay.
So anyway, interesting. I didn't feel like my sharpness, clarity, that sort of thing, that doesn't feel like it has been affected. My my mood overall, I wouldn't say that has been affected. My energy levels, Um, a little bit low on energy about 2 hours ago, but that's the only time. Other than that, my routine has been exactly the same.
Yeah.
Get up at the same time, exercise, go to bed at the same time. My activities, I haven't changed that at all. So it's quite interesting to see that you can actually operate
Mm-hmm.
um, for an extended period of time without food.
What's your plan? Is it to do a 36-hour once a week, or are you just seeing how you feel with this one and then decide what you're going to do next?
Yeah, it's pretty much see how this plays out. What I would like to do is I would like to kind of repeat it and maybe establish a little bit of a rhythm over so that I can over a period of let's say 3 months, so that I can kind of fast um, longer and shorter periods, um, and then kind of see how it affects me and so on. But it's not like I want to kind of establish uh, a routine where I fast every Monday and Tuesday, for example,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Because from what I've heard and read is like the variability also helps. Well, I'm not 100% sure in what way. I think for a lot of people, the variability helps with the cravings and things like that, which I don't think is a big thing. Well, I know it's not a big thing for me. Um, but yeah, I'll just kind of experiment with it a little bit over the next 3 months and see what works for me. Um, as I say, I'm definitely going to push it to a 3 day or a 72-hour fast.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely do the 48 hours again. Um, I mean, 24 hours is just too easy.
Yeah.
That's really easy. You don't really have to think about that. So, um, but maybe I will consciously chuck in a 24-hour every now and then as well.
Yeah.
Uh, just see what it does.
Interesting. It's also interesting that it's a different consideration for women because of your natural cycles, that there are certain
Correct.
times of the month when you shouldn't be fasting. Um,
Correct.
so I would recommend Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Peltz if any women are interested in doing the fasting.
100%. There's also a podcast or a YouTube video where she chatted to Bella from Steak and Butter Gang, um, where I know that she kind of talks about um, something about plan your fast with the moon or whatever, which
Yeah.
is obviously referring to the cycles and so on. But interestingly, if I remember correctly, one of the things that they also mentioned there, she and one of the other people on the podcast both said, if I remember correctly, that they um, do seasonal fasts, that they do longer fasts in the winter.
Interesting.
I can't really remember what was
Yeah.
the logic behind that, whether it is just something that they came to or fell into, um, or whether there is some science behind it.
Yeah. So I also find that I don't know if I always did this or if it was since I was conscious of doing some intermittent fasting a few months ago. Um, I almost naturally fast many days of the week. So after dinner, I will often go until kind of lunchtime for my
Yeah,
first meal of the day. It's been a bit different, I think, since I've been adjusting my lifestyle to carnivore, where I've been eating more. Um,
hmm
but I think I'm getting back into the rhythm of kind of pushing it a little bit. Um, there was something you said earlier, or something I was thinking about while you were talking about fasting, that I just heard in the Stephen Bartlett Diary of a CEO interview with the Glucose Goddess, which was
hmm
about a lot of people get eat because of a dopamine hit. And I think that this is it resonated with me that if I, like you said about distracting yourself when you were feeling hungry,
Yeah,
if I am doing something, if I go for a long walk, or if I go for a swim in the sea, or if I go to the gym, or if I go read my book, or if I'm doing something, I
yeah,
don't think about food. And I think it is about
correct.
that dopamine hit, that high that you're looking for, um, as much as it is about distracting yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, then the context in which she obviously mentions it is that glucose gives us that dopamine hit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure whether all food is like that,
Well, so much food has
but
glucose in it that it's hard to separate
yeah,
them.
look, I'm pretty okay in terms of, I
Mm.
know that my glucose intake is zero.
Yeah,
Uh, so, um, but there is something. I mean, I get a hell of a lot of pleasure out of from the act of eating.
yeah.
It is enjoyable.
Well, I also know mine
So,
is a habit thing, sitting in front of the TV. And since I was a child, we've always snacked in front of the TV. Popcorn, crackers, cheese. There's always been something in front of us
yeah,
while you're watching TV. And I find when I'm sat in front of the TV, I feel like I need to be eating something. I'm supposed to be eating something because I'm sitting in front of the
okay,
TV. So it's
yeah,
definitely one of those things when you think about habits that I actually have to take myself away from watching TV if I feel like I need to eat.
okay. But at least there's that awareness of, listen,
Yeah.
this is a habit. Um, and when I listen to some of the advice or the tips or how to, etc., a lot of time it comes down to that thing about this will help you break the habit.
Hmm.
And not that, this way is the best way scientifically proven for you. So a lot of these suggestions that people make and so on is to actually help people that suffer from cravings, and cravings come from habit. There's
Yeah.
obviously the addiction element of the sugar as well, but I do feel like, um, as you say, just the act of watching TV triggers that response in terms
Yes.
of it's not like there's a craving for something, but I'm watching TVs and therefore I should snack on something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's very interesting. So one of the things for me is this thing about the the discipline, the
yeah.
self-discipline. Can I apply that? Because there's nobody that is going to penalize me if I decide to break this fast, or if I decide to make it shorter or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
very much about the willpower and the discipline for me as much as anything else.
Yeah. Okay. So are you feeling good overall about
I
it?
am feeling I'm
Okay.
I'm feeling good overall about it. Um, I'm definitely um, I'm definitely kind of aware of, okay, cool, I've got X amount of hours left until
Hmm.
I'm eating.
But probably as you
So
get closer to that time, you won't be thinking about it as much.
maybe not.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced that. You see, a lot of people I've heard say that after 48 hours, it becomes easier.
Hmm.
So, so I'm not there yet where I feel like, okay, cool, I can go another day. And I don't know whether that is, um, listen, I'm stretching myself. This is the first time I've done this.
Yeah.
Um, those steaks are in the sous vide machine already. So I don't know if it's kind of part of that, or maybe if I do it again, it'll be a little bit easier. I think it depends on a number of things.
Yeah.
Depends on how you feel. Um, is your general metabolic health, is that okay? So I think there's a couple of things to consider, and I'll just play it by ear and then see
Yeah.
when I'm going to try the next one.
So what do we say to the people who the naysayers, the people who say that this sounds like an eating disorder? Because I get that a lot. I also have recently had someone saying to me, "You're far too intelligent to think that you can get all of the nutrients from meat and animal products that you need." And it has actually gotten into my head a little bit because I've been thinking about vitamin C because that's the one that comes up, scurvy. I'm going to get scurvy because I don't eat organ meats. Um,
You don't have
so,
to.
so how important is that, and how, what do we say to those people, and how do I get vitamin C? Because I'm sure that I do need it.
Beef, mainly beef. Just just look. There's enough literature. There's enough literature going back to the 1920s about this being a very healthy diet.
Yeah,
There's enough literature that has proven that you don't need fiber. I mean, it is absolutely true.
yeah.
You, your body does not need fiber. It doesn't mean that you cannot process some quantities of it, but you
Mm-hmm.
definitely do not need it. So, honestly, anybody who says to you that what you're doing is dangerous or you're too intelligent to think that you can get all the nutrients, I would
Mm-hmm.
just refer them to the literature, and also what qualifies them.
Years
Uh,
of indoctrination.
Years of indoctrination, because it is that old story about you cannot you cannot trust a doctor with nutrition advice because
Mm-hmm.
they don't study nutrition.
Yeah,
Um, but if you go and look at the literature and see, because as you say, vitamin C is the one thing where you think, oh my goodness, maybe I should. No, you don't. Um, you get that out of, I think beef is the richer source, but there's obviously in other animal products as well.
and also, I
Vitamin
mean, I
C,
don't have it often, but maybe every once a month I'll have a berry smoothie or something. I'm sure I'd get some vitamin C out of that.
yeah, you will definitely get some vitamin C out of that. I'm not sure in terms of the quantities, in terms of what you
Yeah.
require and so forth.
They
But
also say when you change when you blend it, you get rid of a lot of the nutrients that you would get from a fruit or whatever.
correct,
Don't know if you
yeah.
should be having it whole.
So
Um,
the glucose goddess is quite strict on that. She goes, "Pfft, it's
yes,
the worst thing that you can do is to drink a smoothie.
yes,
Um, because you also destroy the fiber. She believes that you need fiber.
yeah,
Um, but um, yeah, so the smoothie's not the best way to get any of.
yeah.
I'm not sure if it'll damage the vitamin C, for example. But no,
Well, something I was thinking about, although I have no way of knowing if I'm vitamin C deficient, but I was thinking about maybe putting lemon in my hot water. I don't know if that would make any difference. I don't know. I
um,
suppose I think it comes back to how do you feel? Because I don't feel like
if
I'm
it'll make you
deficient
feel
in
better.
anything. But yeah, I don't
So
feel like I'm missing anything, but I don't know if that's a good indicator or if I need to be testing or
look, I think um, anybody, not just people who are just on a meat-based diet, but anybody must get their blood levels checked properly at least once a year and ideally twice a year.
Mhm.
Um, so that you kind of know what's going on and you know whether you are magnesium deficient. I mean, there are people that eat heaps of spinach and broccoli and etc. and they are definitely not healthy.
Mhm.
Um, and if you look at their blood work, you'll see that they are deficient, probably like a lot of people. deficient in vitamin D, deficient in magnesium. Magnesium is such an important one, you know.
I have anecdotal evidence on that.
Uh-huh.
So I've been taking a tablet with my dinner
Yeah.
each night for probably just over a month now. And I haven't had those severe calf cramps that I had been getting just
Cramps.
before. But I
Yeah,
forgot to take one last night, and this morning I could feel cramp in my calf, which I haven't had for,
really
which is just one night I forgot to
interesting.
take it. So I need to keep
Yeah.
taking it.
Yeah, no, you definitely have. And then obviously, like I said, vitamin D, you know, vitamin D, it is so important to get out in the sun
Hmm.
um, every day, um, you know, because of kind of like the knock on the second and third order kind of benefits from that. It's not just
Yeah.
to have a certain amount of vitamin D in your system, but what does it do, you know? And I think vitamin D is quite important in terms of calcium absorption,
I'm not sure.
bone strength, that sort of
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
trying to kind of just regulate. But yeah, it's, you know, like I said, anybody, if there's one health intervention, I kind of get everybody to do blood work at least once a year
Hmm.
instead of guessing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm definitely not advocating taking supplements left, right, and center. I think that's a big waste of money.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's if you if you look at the blood work, because that's kind of like uh, the baseline to operate from, then adjust your diet accordingly.
But then you also have to make sure that the ranges are, I mean, who comes up with the ranges and how do you know that those are accurate and
True, true. That is another thing,
yeah.
especially on the cholesterol side. We kind of know that we are dealing with. Um, I think in 5 years' time, you'll see a lot of those things will have changed by then.
Yeah.
I would say that the when you talk about things like you know all the minerals, um, what do you call them? It's like the iron and yeah, it's the minerals. It's
Minerals, yeah.
iron and magnesium, and what are the other ones that they typically test for? Um, you know, there's quite a lot of these things which I think the suggested levels are okay. Um, so as long as you don't see anything that is completely out of whack, you know, kind of see that through the lens of, okay, cool, I know what I've put in my body and how
Hmm.
that will maybe affect these numbers and so on. Anyway, that's I'm pretty happy with my experiment for the last year. I see no reason to change it.
Have you, because I know you spoke about pluck for a while.
Yes.
Do you take any organ meat or because that's the one place where when I've been Googling it where they say you can get a lot of vitamin C from organ meat.
Yeah. So I will, I don't know, maybe once every 3 months, I will take some form of organ meat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something that I'm consciously checking and seeing
Yeah.
that I have to take. You know, um, I will if if vitamin C is something of a concern, then I will eat uh, one
Yeah.
orange a week
I
or
was going to
something like
ask
that.
you if you do eat any fruit, because a lot of the carnivore community, well, some of them will say that it's okay to incorporate some fruit after you've gone through your kind of initial phase.
100%. And again, that is typically the reason why they tell you to not eat any fruit or
Mm-hmm.
any other vegetables or whatever is to kind of help you get over the addiction, the
Mm-hmm.
sugar addiction. So I consume fruit in small quantities, frozen berries. Um, I cannot say that it is, once a week or twice. It's however, whenever I feel like it, and then maybe I will do it for a few days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I chuck it a little bit of frozen berries into my kefir at night
Mm-hmm.
after dinner, and I will. But when I say small quantities, I'm talking about, I don't know, literally a handful, maybe
Mm-hmm.
not even a proper handful. It's not even a quarter cup. Um, and other than that, I don't really I don't feel like bananas or
Mm.
um, fruit in general. I did have a piece of watermelon the other day. It was
That's very
watermelon.
good for vitamin C.
Yeah. So there was watermelon in the house, and it looked delightful. And I said, "Give me a piece," And then I'll
Yeah,
eat a piece of that, and that's that. So I don't have a very specific regimen,
yeah.
and I think it's a question of everybody must experiment for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I do agree with the concept or the idea of eliminate as many things as possible and start off and then get comfortable and feel what it feels like to
Mm.
feel good, um, and not be bloated and any of these
Yeah.
other things that we become so used to. And then start adding something.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it may be fruit. For some people, it may be a vegetable. I don't know. I'm definitely
Magnum
not
ice
going.
cream.
Magnum ice cream. Yes, I'm on board with that one. Um,
Um,
I made really good carnivore ice cream,
really?
which is just cream, eggs, so egg yolks
Yes.
in this case, and I had 90% um, dark
Dark
chocolate.
chocolate. Mm.
Yeah, 90% dark chocolate, which I kind of little cut into little pieces, and I had added a little bit of vanilla in there, and I added 2 tablespoons of raw honey. But that was like in a liter of cream, 2 tablespoons of honey. So next time I make it, I'll actually omit the honey.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
it's
haven't
not.
had much success with carnivore ice cream. I made the berry one with the cottage cheese,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just I ate it in the first week, I think, but it wasn't really didn't really love it.
No,
Um,
this is made with a raw cream,
yeah.
and it
I've
is
realized I'm not a big fan of
delightful.
the cottage cheese taste because I also tried it. I made the flatbread from Bella,
Okay,
the butter girl, flatbread, and it's just a very sour taste.
okay,
Yeah, so I think for
yeah,
me that's not it. So
yeah.
I've
So maybe,
actually done all right with avoiding those types of recipes and things.
yeah. I must say, I also don't do any of the other recipes and so on.
Hmm.
I'm just keeping it so simple in terms of what I eat, the variety that I eat. Um, but that's just how it worked out for me.
Yeah.
I know some people kind of really want to have a little bit of variety and don't want to eat the same thing every day. It really doesn't bother me.
I mean, there's so many options with meat. Like, there's different types of steak. There's a ribeye, there's a
Exactly.
sirloin, there's a rump, there's a fillet, there's
Correct.
chuck,
Yeah,
there's all the different things.
that's enough
And
variety for me.
then actually, I haven't been eating chicken, but last night I did a roast chicken in the air fryer, and it was amazing. It was perfect, so nice. So it was my first time having chicken in 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I generally avoid now is
Mm.
chicken. Um, Simply because um, I don't think it's the same quality
Mm-hmm.
as beef or lamb or pork for that matter.
Yeah. I did see something with Dr. Ken Berry talking about cooking a whole chicken is you get a lot of the cartilage and the other, the other bits of
Yeah,
chicken
yeah,
in it, which is really good for you, all
sure.
the collagen and all of that stuff.
Yes,
So,
yes,
um, yeah, but it was just a nice change, something easy. Chuck it in the air
sure.
fryer on 180 for 1 hour with a lemon in it. I do put a lemon in it just to
Okay.
keep it moist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pork belly is another thing that I really enjoy. I made up
I also
actually
do a lot of that.
my last meal before I started my
Okay.
fast
Oh,
was
sorry, I shouldn't be
a
talking
pork.
about food.
No, it doesn't bother me at all. Funny enough, was a pork belly that I made in the air fryer, and it was delicious, and it was
Yeah.
proper crackling,
Yes.
um, but it was still very nice and moist. It is so simple, yeah,
Yes, I
to
also
make
do that
food.
a
So
lot. I
okay,
cut them, you get the pork belly slices here, and I cut them into small pieces and chuck them in the air fryer, and I get
okay.
nice little pork belly bites.
Yeah, no, no, I do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Kind of, I know how to gauge okay, what size will actually fit into the air fryer, and yeah. So anyway, so variety, I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with that. It's
Okay.
yeah, and I really think people shouldn't be, just leave you alone. They should just leave you alone in terms of and allow you to eat what you want to eat, what you feel good
Yeah.
when you eat that. Whether that includes some form of vegetables, fruit, or whatever, either on a regular or an irregular basis. I mean, that's up to you.
Yes.
Uh,
It brings me
that's
back to
exactly how I feel about it.
the alcohol discussion that we've had, where it's like the one thing that people are, yeah,
Yeah,
they give you a hard time if you say no, thank you.
yes, yeah. Um, and I think if you're at a point where you feel comfortable with, okay, cool, I don't have the sugar addiction, I don't have cravings, I don't, then that's probably the time to start experimenting with
Yeah.
some of these things.
Yeah.
Do I feel like certain things every now and then? Yeah, out of the blue, I will feel like a peanut butter and banana sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that come up every now and then. Um, but then it goes away.
Mm.
If it comes up often enough, I will have a peanut butter and banana sandwich.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then you probably won't
uh,
have one again for a while because you realize how it makes you
Correct,
feel.
correct.
Yeah.
That's the important thing is,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
I had a little bit of rice with my chicken last night because I made a big thing of rice. I had like a less than a handful. I had a small thing of rice with my chicken.
So, so Dave Asprey,
Yeah.
Mr. Bulletproof, Dave Asprey is very much carnivore, but he eats a shit ton of rice.
Oh, really?
But he has a specific recipe
Mm-hmm.
for. So if you go and Google Dave Asprey rice, and also, one of the theories why people in the East can eat so much rice and not gain the weight is the they cook rice today and then they consume it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that act of refrigerating the rice and then kind of consuming it a day later or a few hours later, it
Interesting.
changes the the starches in the rice.
Yes. So I know they also wash their rice before they cook it.
Well, they wash it and so on. But
Yeah.
anyway, it'll be interesting. So I've only done that once
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to see this and I can't remember where I saw it, but um, kind of the cooked rice. And now it's this um, kind of sticky rice, and then in a wok,
Mm-hmm.
flatten that rice so it becomes a thin thing, and you actually heat it up till it becomes crispy. And
Yeah.
then you have these little crispy rice little
Okay.
things. So that was the only reason why I made it. But he puts
Okay.
coconut oil in there. But anyway, so if you enjoy rice every now and then, you may
Yeah.
want to look into it and maybe watch one or two podcasts where he talks about that and the
Okay.
benefits that he gets out of it in terms of eating rice. And
Yeah, I'll
like I say,
definitely look
he
into that.
consumes a lot of rice every day. I don't know
Yeah.
if he still does that, but that was fairly recent that I saw him do.
Well, there was another, I was listening to one of Sean Baker's podcasts. You know, he kind of does the real stories. He gets people that reach out to him on Instagram and
Yeah.
tell them something they've healed, and then he gets them on his podcast. So this was like some woman that talks about how she healed her thyroid problems with carnivore, but that she still
Hmm.
eats rice and it doesn't affect her. So I thought, well, let me see how I feel when I eat
Yeah.
some rice. So
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
That's good. Good to
also,
experiment.
I've always known I'm not going to be very strict for a long time. I might add other things into, but we'll see how that goes. Um, when I feel like I need to.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a thing about um, being very aware of how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And then, obviously to do that takes a little bit of time
Mm-hmm.
because you can't add too many things too quickly and then you
Yeah.
don't know which one of those don't work well and so on.
So
But
going
yeah,
back
experiment.
to the glucose goddess, because I just really enjoyed listening to the podcast. It's a different, I mean, she's got a different approach. It's a different strategy.
Yes,
It's not carnivore, but it's also about how sugar is not good
correct.
for you, or especially that too much sugar is not good for you. I think she's more
Yes.
on the side of you can have some sugar but not a lot, because I like the way she described it. She's quite good at explaining. So she said we're a lot like plants in the sense that we need some glucose, but too much glucose will kill us, which is the same as plants. They need water, but if you
Yeah,
overwater them, it'll kill them. But
correct.
they so um and then I liked how she explained kind of the fat connection with glucose was that when we consume glucose and we consume too much of it, the insulin in our body stores the glucose in our liver and our muscles, and then when there's no more room in our liver and our muscles, it sends it to your fat
In the
cells.
fat cells.
Yeah,
Yes,
so I just like the way she explained that as well. And I was just thinking there might be
correct.
some, I mean, obviously her stuff is also scientific, and she is what did she call herself? I've gone blank on what she says that she is.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
yeah, I
anyway.
also can't remember what she calls herself.
But anyways, some of the things that she spoke about, which I thought correlate, was the idea of having a savory breakfast. So obviously no sugar in your breakfast. You should be having savory breakfast, which same as
Yeah,
carnivore diet, it's having meat for breakfast. And then the one
yeah.
thing that she mentioned, which I thought might correlate with kind of having some rice with your meal or some other kind of carb, is the clothe your carbs. So she talks about when you shouldn't ever eat a carb on its own. So don't just eat a potato or don't just eat. You should always clothe it with something. And so I was thinking maybe in the instance of rice, if you're eating the chicken and then the rice, maybe it's got a better benefit on your body than if you're just eating the rice on its own.
But didn't you also say that when you eat a meal, eat your vegetables first?
Yes, yes, before carbs, so not before protein, because she didn't clarify, but I think that's what it was coming back to, is before something that has glucose in it. So I
No, but
think
I
it's
mean vegetables including rice have a lot of glucose in.
I suppose good point.
So so I I do I think I understood where she talked about the carbs in clothes, where you add some, like she said, don't just have a slice of bread and put some avo on it.
Yeah, it was also the grapes.
Um,
Don't just eat the grapes, eat cheese and
yes,
grapes.
cheese and grapes. Yes,
Yeah.
like, that sounds delightful. But um, look, it's interesting. There were a couple of things which she said, and I thought, well, you know what? Okay, cool. You obviously believe in kind of like the things that some of these stories that have been kind of repeated often enough, and not necessarily your field of study. You know, like the thing about fiber,
Mm-hmm.
for example. Um, Also, not understanding that your body turns fat into glucose.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need glucose apart other than,
Yes.
okay. So everything that you need is, I do like her approach, I must say, her
Yes.
overall approach in terms of, um, you know, be sensible about these things, do understand the potential harm to your health, um, especially, you know, when you talk about kids, um, how easy it is for them to get addicted, or anybody to get addicted
Yeah.
to the sugar. And kind of not falling for some of the bullshit about, you know, any cereal is good for you or is healthy, or the smoothies, um, fruit juice, terrible.
Yeah.
It really is terrible. It's so
I
easy
didn't
to
know
fall
that
into
either.
those traps.
Yeah. But I was thinking when I started thinking about my vitamin C, maybe I must just have a glass of orange juice. And then I listened to this podcast. I was like, oh no, no, orange juice.
No, eat an orange. Eat an orange.
um,
But yeah,
That's actually Chef Molly, the one of the people that we follow on Instagram, the regenerative farmer, Chef Molly.
oh yeah,
She posted something yesterday. She was in the shop called Whole Foods in America, which is supposed to be Whole Foods, and she was
yeah,
filming their they had a cereal aisle with like these cereals, and she's like, "You're supposed to be Whole Foods. What is this doing on your shelf? Like, this is false advertising.
correct.
This is can't call yourself Whole Foods and then
Yes.
you have some loaded
No,
with
100%.
sugar cereal." There was one other thing that they mentioned, which I thought you might find interesting, and I want to do a bit more research because Dr. Anthony Chaffee wholeheartedly disagrees with this, that coffee is good for you. So Stephen Bartlett says all the literature that he's read is that coffee is good for people, like there's no negative effects. And she, as someone who's also in this industry, was saying there's no negative effects. You just shouldn't drink it after 12, otherwise it'll affect your sleep or whatever it is. But Dr. Anthony Chaffee says it causes inflammation. He's advised many people to cut out coffee completely, and it's cured pain in their joints and things like that. So, I mean, I've been off coffee for a couple of weeks now, and I think maybe pain in my joints has gone down, but I don't know if it's from that.
Really.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the actual truth is there, and I don't think that there's one single truth there. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like with many of these other things, it's a
Depends
question
on
of,
your body.
depends on your body. You know, I I know that I have a caffeine. Well, let's call it a caffeine addiction, because I know that I will get withdrawal symptoms if I stop drinking
Yeah.
coffee completely. Um, I don't, I can't see any negative effects. See, and there are a bunch of studies that show that coffee is good for you. You know, by the same token, there are those so-called studies that tell you that you
Sugar's
know,
good for
two
you.
glasses of red wine is also
Yeah.
good for you. You know,
Yeah.
um, six beers will also just
Keep
put
you
you in.
younger.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
it depends a hell of a lot on the, you know, who did the study and so on. But I do think that it is um, more guidelines.
Hmm.
So honestly, I don't have any joint pain.
Mm-hmm.
So am I going to cut coffee? I know what my inflammation levels. I get my bloods done
Mm-hmm.
very regularly. I know what my inflammation levels are. So I don't really see that as a um, so I'm not excluding that as one of the things that I have to at some point cut out.
Yeah.
If I know what I'm going to replace it with, because just water is just not the option for me at this point in time, then I'll give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
But to be like those strict carnivore guys that just eat beef and drink water, um, I don't think I can get myself there.
Mm.
I don't know if I get the benefits. If I'm like Jordan Peterson,
Yeah.
who kind of, if you listen to him describe how much pain he was in, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you come from there, then I think it's very easy. If you've established that this
Yeah.
makes you healthy,
Yeah.
to never, ever, ever deviate from that and have no desire to. But I don't know. Um,
Well, I think this is kind of the point is, I mean, my diet today is tenfold better than what it was 3 months
correct,
ago. So I think
correct.
it's small incremental changes that might make you feel better in whatever number of ways. I don't think you have to go to the extreme of just eating um, steak and
Yeah.
drinking water.
No, I agree with you 100%, because you've cut out so many things that are bad for you.
Hmm.
And, come in a whole bunch of different forms and so on. All the additives in all processed foods, you know, the seed oils and the all the other terrible things,
Sugar.
and even
Sugar.
this the sugar and all the
Yeah.
different variations of sugar
Yeah.
that I put into it. So anyway, there's a good Instagram follower. I can't remember what his name is, but he goes around and then he kind of checks the um, nutritional information in foodstuffs, and then he will go, okay, cool. So let's just look at this. If I had to make this, so for example, there's at the Cheesecake Factory, there's a specific piece of chocolate cake. Now, a slice of that cake has
Or is this the sugar?
46, 46 teaspoons of sugar.
Yes.
And
Or
then
he puts the cubes.
the
Yes, I
little
saw
cubes. Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. Have you seen him some of the other way? The
That's
other
the
day
only
he
one.
did
I actually only
something.
saw it this morning.
No, you just check it out because he also did one a while ago from one of those drinks and the Starbucks menu. And it is just horrible if he puts all the ingredients there next to each other. You think, I will not drink that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so by just kind of eliminating a whole bunch of these processed foods and so on, you're already a hell of a lot better off, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank
Anyway,
you and good luck for the rest of your fast.
thanks. It's easy. I'm almost there.